Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week. So that means cutting all my vegetables and making some things that take a bit longer. So today I'm also going to make some tomato soup, and I'm going to make some herb butter or compound butter, whatever you want to call that, for Christmas. And I'll prep some regular butter for Christmas as well. Put that in some nice decorative dishes. So I'm just cutting up some onion to start with, and then we'll just go over the menu. So for lunch today, as usual on Sunday, I'm gonna have some whole wheat sandwiches. I have some roasted pork to go with that, and then tonight I'm gonna do some rainbow carrots with mashed potatoes and a roasted ham. So, and whatever I have left from that ham, I'll use later on in the week. Then for Monday, Meatless Monday, for lunch, I'm gonna have that tomato soup that I mentioned, and one of these onions is for that soup. And then for dinner, I'm gonna make some vegan tacos with lentils, carrot, and all kinds of veggies. So that's also what I need some of this onion for. And then for Tuesday, for lunch, things are going to be slightly different this week, by the way, because for Christmas I will have carbs for lunch. I don't usually do that during the week, but Tuesday I'm still going to do low carb. I'm going to have some green beans, probably wrapped in some prosciutto, and I'll have that with some of that leftover ham. And then I'm just cutting this red onion for a salsa for the chicken tacos that I'll be having on Tuesday for dinner. So that's why I'm dicing this nice and fine. Then we're on Wednesday. That will be Christmas. So I'm gonna have some brunch. I have some cinnamon rolls that I need to finish baking in the oven. I have some croissants that I think I'm gonna stuff with some ham and some cheese. And I also have Stol, which is, you might have heard of the German version of that name, Stollen. That's traditional bread in this part of Europe with dried fruits, nuts. There's a log of almond paste in the center. So just gonna have all of that. Might do an egg, don't know yet. Like a hard-boiled egg. And yeah, that's just the brunch. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do a turkey roast, some asparagus wrapped in prosciutto. I have all these colorful potatoes, like small potatoes, like purple, red. So that should look really nice. I'm just cutting these garlic cloves, by the way, for my tacos and things like that. And then on Thursday, I'm just gonna have leftovers. So I'll probably have some of that bread left over, and maybe the croissants. We'll just see. So I'll have my cheat days for Christmas where I will be having carbs. And then for dinner, also leftovers. I should have some of that ham left over, some of that turkey roast, some vegetables. So we'll just use that up. That's one of the best things about Christmas, when you have leftovers. And then we're on Friday. For lunch, I'm gonna have some fish with probably some green beans again, depending on what I have left over. And for dinner, I'm gonna have some salmon in puff pastry, again with some of those colored potatoes. And if I have anything like green beans or asparagus left, I'll use that. And if I don't, I'll use some broccoli. I'll probably end up using some broccoli, but that's like the backup option. So for the soup and things like that, I'm going to leave some of these cloves of garlic whole. I don't need to cut them because they're going to cook so long they're just going to fall apart. So let's do some potatoes next. So these are for the mash tonight. And oh, the Dutch word for today, I'm just going to cut them, by the way, with the skin on because I don't really mind in my mash. And these are small potatoes, so I really don't feel like peeling them. I'm just going to cut them in chunks so they cook easier. But yeah, the Dutch word of today is the word for potato, which is aardappel. And aardappel means earth apple, which is actually the same as in French, which is pomme de terre, which also means apple of the earth, which is quite amusing. And actually, earth apple is what in English use for topinambur, or what is also called Jerusalem artichoke. And that we call aardpeer. So aardpeer means earth pear. So, and I do apologize for forgetting the Dutch word of the day sometimes, or Dutch word of the week. So if there's any Dutch words you would like me to include, let me know. So yeah, so that's potatoes. I'm gonna cut up some chilies, some red and some green for the soup, because I like it spicy. For the salsa, for the vegan tacos. So just gonna cut some red and some green just for different color. And then next up, I have some pepper. Again, that's going to go in the salsa. I might throw some in my soup as well. So I'll just cut in half, get rid of the seeds. And because this is going in the salsa, I want it nicely cubed. So cut it lengthwise. And then cut across. Then next up, some celery for my soup. So I'm just going to take the tops off. And I'm not going to blend my soup this time, I think. So I'm going to cut the celery nice and fine. Not super fine, but bite size. And let's get that in a container with some of the other soup ingredients. And speaking of soup ingredients, let's do some carrot. So I have a couple of carrots here. I'm just gonna cut the tips off, or the tops, I mean. And again, since I'm not blitzing it, I'm just gonna cut it into bite-sized pieces. So that can go with the celery. Then here I have some more carrots, and those are going to be the base for my vegan tacos. So I'm just going to get my julienne slicer, and I'm just going to slice those in. You can grate it too if you don't have a julienne slicer, but you want it nice and fine like that, and that's just easier with a julienne slicer or a grater than doing it by hand. So yeah, I'm just doing these 3 carrots. Alright, that is carrots julienne. I'm gonna stay on carrots because for tonight, for dinner, I have these rainbow carrots that I'm just gonna roast, and I'll probably do like a honey balsamic glaze. So I have some of these small orange ones, yellow ones, and purple ones, and I'll just give them a quick peel. And did you know that carrots didn't used to be orange? They used to be all kinds of colors like red, white, yellow, and the orange ones were bred by the Dutch because our royal family is the House of Orange. So the carrots that you eat nowadays, that's only a somewhat recent thing. Well, I mean, somewhat recent as like the Middle Ages, but that's not their traditional color. And then with my carrots, I'll have some parsnips as well. Parsnips and carrots are in the same family, but have a slightly different taste. So I'm just gonna peel that as well. And because this parsnip is a lot bigger than my carrots are, I'm gonna try and make them roughly the same size. So I'll cut the point off. And then the big top, I'll just cut into quarters. So they're all roughly the same size and they're roasted at the same time. So next up, I'll do some cucumber. I have some parsley as well, but I'm going to leave that whole because that is going to go in the soup. But I don't want that in there. I just want the flavor, so I'm going to leave them whole so I can pull them out at the end. But yeah, cucumber, I'm just going to slice, and then I'll cut out the core, cut the sides into long strips, and then I'll just cut these into cubes, and this is for my salsa. And the core I'll just have as a snack. And then one cucumber I'll use for my sandwiches. So I'll just cut that into slices. Then for my salsa, I also have some cilantro, or coriander as we call it. And I'm just going to first give that a rough chop. And again, I'm saving the stem for a curry paste. I'll probably do a curry next week. And I'll just cut this a little bit smaller by just running my knife through until I'm happy. And then I have some broccoli for Friday, and I'll just cut the florets off. Save the stems, and I'll just make sure these are all in bite-sized pieces. And then last for chopping are these green beans. So they're gonna go in 2 or 3 meals. So I'm just gonna top and tail all of these. And while I was working on my green beans, I also started preheating my Ninja Foodi. So that's nice and warm now on saute. Time check, 22 minutes so far for the prep, and I'm done chopping. So for the soup, I'm gonna add some oil to my hot pan. And let's take some of these onions, put that with the celery and the carrot, and then also my whole cloves of garlic. So that can go in there, and I'm just gonna quickly put this away. And now that the oil is hot, I'm gonna add my veggies. So again, that's just celery, that's onion, garlic, and some carrot. And I'll add a bit of salt. And I'm just gonna let that soften for a bit. So while that is softening, I'm gonna work on the butter. So I need some regular butter for my brunch. So I'm gonna put some butter in these star-shaped dishes. And I'm just using some softened butter. And just like spackle, basically. Just make sure you get everything in the corners. There we go. That's I'm just cover that in cling film, and that is for brunch. I'll do a few more. The vegetables have softened, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of this tomato and pepper puree, and I'll let that saute for just a moment as well. And then for the herb butter, I'm just gonna put that in a bowl. And here I have some mixed herbs. So I think there's what's in there: sage, parsley, garlic, chervil, chives. So I'm just using this ready-made mixture, but you can use fresh herbs. You can experiment with the fresh and dried. So I'm just gonna add some of this. And since there's no salt in this, and I'm also using unsalted butter, I'll add some salt. Meanwhile, let me check on the vegetables. So yeah, that's tomato puree is nice and sauteed. Just want to get that raw flavor out. So I'm just gonna add my can of tomatoes to that. And I'll just rinse the can with some water, and I'll add that as well. I'll add my bunch of parsley, so I can just fish that out later. And this is a lot of stem, by the way, so that's perfect for soups because there's a lot of flavor in there. Then I'm going to put my pressure lid on, make sure the valve is closed, and switch it to pressure cook. And we'll just do we'll do 30 minutes. That should be plenty for some soup. And let that do its thing. In the meantime, we're gonna keep working on the butter. So I'll mix in all the herbs and the salt. So that's all mixed in, and just because it's green for the butter, I'm using these Christmas tree shaped little ramekins. So again, just push that in and smooth it out. And then we have some Christmas trees to put on the table to go with some rolls and stuff. So I'll just keep doing that for a couple more. And like I said, I'll just cover these nice and tight with cling film. And these can just go in the fridge, and then they're ready to use on Christmas, and the flavors have time to meld together for the compound butter. So I'll finish wrapping up the rest, and then I'll just wait for the soup to be done so I can come close out the video. So I'll be back in a moment. And that's the soup done. That's now ready to go for tomorrow. I just need to heat that up for lunch. I did fish out the parsley. So, but yeah, now I have everything ready to go for the week. I can have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. And if you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. And if you want to see what I do with all the ingredients that I prepped, you can either check out my Instagram, where I post every single meal, and that's linked below, or about once a month I do a video where I show you everything I eat in a day for a whole week. So, but yeah, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye for now. Oh, and Merry Christmas.